And please welcome back Jessie Czebotar.
Thank you.
All right, Jessie, take it away.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So if we could pull up, let's pull up the pictures of Aquino's books. We're going to get into Aquino here. So as many of you know, Aquino is somebody that I've said, according to my experience, he was trained under Michael Karkoc, who was the Nazi, who was the Defense Legion leader for Hitler. Karkoc was very skilled at the spiritual gates. He, from my understanding, when I was underneath him for training, I understood that both Michael Aquino and John Brennan, were students underneath him. So he had trained them. I have revealed that I had experience with both Michael Aquino and John Brennan in these government experiments and projects that revolved around the spiritual gates.
Wow.
So as we dive into this, if we could get that, do you have the one for Mind Wars and Star Mind?
Mind Wars, Star Mind. Okay. Dean, we got that for you.
So one of the things that's important to realize is that, Michael Aquino, he was very strategic over our military, and he wrote a trilogy. The first one is called Mind Wars. The second one is called Mind Star, and the third one is called Find Far. And these books are used by our military for operational things in the military. The premise of Mind War is that instead of, getting individuals to do what you want them to do through mind control, how you're going to get people to engage in these psyops and psychological warfare is that you're going to you're going to get them to meld, or you're going to meld the will through mind constructs. So, back, let's say 20 years or 40 years before me, we had individuals like Fiona Barnett, we had Kathy O'Brien. Mm-hmm. They both have claimed to have gone through some of these psychological warfare mind control programs that the U.S. government was running with children and young adults. What they went through at that time, the program that the government was running, which the overall program is called the Monarch Program. It breaks down under different names based on which department in the system it's operating under. So, when you get to the military, it's not going to be called Monarch. Usually it'd be called MK Ultra. Okay. And then as with that, you have different specialties. So based on which specialty or which position the system is putting you into, that MK Ultra program is going to break into smaller programs that will be specialized, that will train you for your position. So you'd have, like Project Gemini, okay. You would have Project Orion, you'd have Project Artemis, you'd have Delta, Epsilon. So that's kind of how it breaks down in the military. There's more. So as you can see there, there's the cover of Mind War. It's not just a book. This is a manual that the military and the government uses. That's what he created with this trilogy. So, what were they putting in operation? In the old days when they did these MK Ultra programs, when Kathy O'Brien and Fiona Barnett were in there, they would use trauma to split the mind to cause people to disassociate or to compartmentalize into different characters or personalities. So, it was called multiple personalities. And so it would mean like, they've got one individual, but they cause trauma, that causes that person, let's say his name's Bob,
Okay.
where he splits and he knows himself only as this individual named Tom. And Tom is a trained military spy who has certain operations that he does. He has certain jobs. So, they would do things like create triggers that he would be trained. So, if Bob was walking and he saw somebody with a red scarf and that was his trigger, he will immediately only see, Bob will black out and he's Tom, and he'll be awaiting orders and commands and will do whatever he's supposed to do. And then he gets untriggered and he goes back to Bob, and Bob has no clue that he's done any of these things as Tom. So that's how the old program worked. Now, the problem with this, though, is that one, you're causing multiple trauma for people. And as you do that, they found the program only lasts about 20 years. That at the 20-year mark, 20, 30 years, the program starts to break down. And when that happens, these people would get flashbacks or memories from the different compartments. So they would start to have these memories of things, and they're like, what the heck is that? Like, why am I having that memory? Like, what is going on here? And so at first the system would try to pull these people back in and reprogram them. But they found that, when you reprogrammed the second time around, it wasn't as good. It broke down faster, or sometimes it didn't take. And you would have these individuals that then, their mind would be breaking down. They couldn't function. They couldn't think. They had to get mental health care, and they were basically unusable to the system. Okay. So, that was from probably the 40s to the, early 80s that was in operation, that type of mind control. And it doesn't mean that still is not happening. In certain places it is. But what Aquino and some of the other individuals working with him presented was the question, is there a way to control the will to make people do what we want them to do without, all that mess of the mind control that we have?
Yes.
And so Aquino proposed mind constructs that at the core of everybody's being, we're emotional beings. We have feelings, and we have values, we have morals, we have ethics. And so he proposed that if you cater to those three things, that you can meld the will in the direction you want it to go, and the person will feel good about it, and they will believe that it's their own choosing to go in that direction. And therefore, you now have somebody who's willingly going in the direction you want them to go, instead of fighting and having to have a forced control. So one of the examples I give in this is, let's just talk about this pandemic. Yeah. They say, you have to wear a mask. Now, the majority of people are like, I don't want to wear a mask, so I'm not going to. Well, how do you change the mind construct in that? We start to hear messages or narratives that are being pushed through the media, through, things that we see, through, places we go, that if you want to be a good global citizen, if you care about other people, especially the elderly, who have chronic illness, who, if they get sick, they're susceptible to death. If you care about the elderly in your community people, you will wear a mask. So now they've just applied to your ethics and your moral. The majority of people are going to say, I want to be a good person. I want to, you know, care for the elderly. I don't want to cause anybody to die. I don't want to carry this disease and pass it on. So, you know, now you've just got people to willingly go in the direction you want them to go. They feel good about it. You know, I am a good person. I care about others. Yes. And they're doing exactly what you want them to do.
Mind control.
It's mind control. But you got to call it by its proper name according to Aquino. It's mind constructs.
Mind constructs.
They've changed the mind construct. That's right. So this is what Aquino was doing with his books.